So yeah,
Hello.
is anybody here? Oh, there's already one watching. Hi Mark, hi Loco.
Yeah, hello.
Probably we're gonna wait a few more minutes.
Just a minute or so, yeah.
So maybe some latecomers also drop by, and then we'll continue on.
So we should start with the product demo again, really fast though, maybe not as long as last time. So just a few basics, let people know what the app is all about.
Okay, so yeah, for those of you that didn't watch our previous stream, we made a short presentation of the product when we started. So yeah, this is what we're all about. That's our mix analog, and this is the online analog gear processing application.
Yep, that's the way to say it, yeah.
It's your portal where you can access automated analog sound processing gear, control it remotely, and listen to the result in real time, so you know what you're doing. And yeah, when you're happy, download the result and enjoy the great sound of analog gear. So, without further ado,
yeah, let's just get something.
Let's take a look at what this is
Which
all
one
about.
do we want to do today?
Let's see what's free.
Is there anything?
Yep, the
Okay.
VCA is free.
The VCA is superb.
So the first thing we can show off here is how you book the gear, because you have to reserve a time slot to work on the analog gear, because only one person at a time can work on a certain piece of equipment.
Yep.
So this is the calendar, and for today we have every day is divided into 15 minutes slot of booking.
Yep.
So yeah, just click on the time that's good for you. Select how many minutes you want to use it for. Click book now. And your booking appears right here. And now that it's already active, because we booked it at 3 o'clock, this big green button is already here, but if not, there's going to be a countdown up here that is going to tell you how much more you have to wait before it's your turn.
Yep.
Before we go into the processing app, all of our available gear is selectable here in those tabs up here. So you can have a go with battery maker limiter, with mono 1176 revision A. That's the blue stripe compressor limiter. We have a Telefunken tape machine wired to our system, and a whole rack of vintage and not so vintage equipment. We named it Rack 1. And inside this Rack 1, you get a pair of Pultec EQs, a Fairchild compressor limiter, a GML or Sontec hybrid kind of inspired 5-band mastering EQ,
yep,
and a MOSFET limiter, a pretty colorful device. I would probably call it more of a soft clip device, but yeah, it's officially called a limiter.
It makes things louder, so it's a limiter.
That's probably it. So yeah, before we go, let's take a look at those tabs also. So there's your sessions. You can see your past sessions that you've done, and you can continue them with settings that were stored. So the last settings you had when you finished your previous sessions are stored into your past sessions. And if you made a mistake while booking, you can delete your booking here. You'll get some MAT tokens back, and you can make a new booking back at the home screen. Then there's the Files tab. You can upload your files here, and I would strongly suggest you do it before you start your session, because you will if you
being what it is,
it
takes some time.
yeah. So yeah, save time for processing and tweaking, and upload your files in advance at the Files tab with this Upload New button. And the last tab is the Profile. Here is your user ID, email, country of residence for the VAT, I suppose. You can enter the VAT number if you are a company. and the little tick box to allow us to send you one newsletter per month.
Yeah, that's really low volume.
Yeah.
But if you don't like that, then just click that.
Yeah.
We'll be sad, but we'll understand too.
All right. So that's it for the first introduction.
Yep.
I think we should just check if there are any questions. Bandwidth required for a stream. I think I would say 5 megabits.
Well, I usually say 10.
Yep.
Just to be on the safe side. Technically, it only takes about 1.7. But the problem is that the ISPs oversell how much bandwidth you actually get from overseas and stuff like that. So a rule of thumb, 10 is going to give you a good experience usually.
Yeah, but just to let's say get you into the ballpark, the system is working in lossless quality on mobile LTE connection. So
yeah. So, or maybe if I've even used it at an airport and when we were driving for Germany on Autobahn. So, it really depends on the internet connection, and the best way to go is to just try it. And there's free gear like the VCA and the 1176, which costs nothing to try. So you can fairly easily get a good feeling of whether or not it's going to work for you. And also, you don't need to upload any files if you don't want to. There are 2 sample files that we put into your media library, the files tab. So you can try with those and see what's up. So just to test your internet, it's actually pretty easy. All right.
Okay.
So now that you have your session,
you've
done your files.
I've uploaded my files. I have my session. It's active.
Okay.
So I just click this Start Live button.
Yeah.
And I come to this processing page or processing app.
Yep.
The first thing I have to do, and it says right here, no source selected, please select one, is to select what I'm going to be processing with this source select drop down up here.
And if you have as many as Ziga, then you can just start typing and it will filter.
Yeah. So let's say if I type.
Yeah, but it's.
Yep.
So yeah.
So this is one of the demo files that's already present in your folder when you've created a fresh account. So even if you didn't upload any files, you can still try the service out with one of the 2 files that we provided. Okay. So, and if you still want to upload another file to try it out on your own source, there's the upload file link also here in the processing app. It's going to take away from your processing time. So be careful with that. But if you're in a hurry and you really need a file uploaded ASAP, here's the link for you.
Yep.
Okay, here up here you have 3 slots, we call them.
We call them slots.
Yeah, quick access buttons. So you can use 3 different source files with 3 different settings. So each slot has its own settings, and when I switch to another slot, the settings will recall on the analog gear, so you can switch between different tasks. Or I use those slots for the referencing purpose mostly, and the easiest way to do that is select your reference track on slot 2 or slot 3 or whatever have you, and just bypass everything with this button here. And then you can quickly switch between what you're doing with actual processing and listening to your reference on slot 2 without messing anything up.
And when you actually press the power button on the I/O unit, this bypasses everything, including the ADDA conversion. So this is just purely what the file is. I believe only the volume adjust for the monitor is
those buttons still work.
Yeah, so you can dial in the volume so that you will have a good relative volume with what you're working on. But other than that, we don't touch the signal, so you can easily compare.
Yeah.
Or if you're working on more than one track from the same album and you want to get the same sound across, then that's also one way to do it. Load up several tracks and work from one to the other. Or maybe you've got a kick and a bass track and you want to get some good vibes between them. So that's also an option to use the slots for. So some inspiration for you guys.
Okay, so to continue.
Yeah.
Those are classical save and recall presets buttons. So I can save my settings to a, I don't know, default for me. I'll not save it right now, but if I want to recall it later,
just select one. Yeah, there are quite a few defaults already.
Yeah. So
you click load, and that will load into the slot you have, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
This cog here is pretty important. This one takes you to streaming settings with an explanation. If you hover over the question mark, this is your
buffering setting.
Buffering for streaming. So if you're having
if you're having network issues, then try and select a larger value from here. I usually recommend, because this is quite aggressive. This is like the second, by default, we select the second fastest one. So we hope to give you the lowest latency. But if your internet can't take it, then just grab the largest one, and usually that will work. So you can go down on the list and select even faster one until you come to one that's still working for you, and take that.
I think I found a bug.
You found a bug? Great. Oh, it doesn't change. We'll fix that.
Yeah.
Today. All right.
What am I at 44.1 now?
You are at 44.1.
Okay, so another mess up, but yeah.
But that one's on your card. Okay, anyway, so the app will read actually the sound card settings.
Yeah, those here are sound cards settings at the present.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I cannot change this right now because it would probably mess up the stream.
Yeah, that's
but yeah, most of the time the best performance you'll get with 48K, because you can then use Opus. So if you're having a problem with lossless streaming, if you have a less than perfect internet connection, and you want to accept the fact that you can go lossy, we recommend Opus. It still has much better sound than MP3 with
definitely
similar bitrate. But Opus only works at 48K. That's the thing with this encoder. So it's not our choice. So yeah.
But if you can do lossless, then do lossless. That's the most honest way. You will hear exactly what you download. So that's great.
All right, and the next and the last settings in the settings window is the UI scale, and I like this very much. And you can make your interfaces bigger, so you can
see what you're doing in a weird screen.
Read more easily and grab the knobs more easily. And with the single units, it's at least for me, it's more of a pleasure to work.
Oh, definitely. I mean, if you have a laptop, then we mostly optimize the UI for like a desktop with a large screen, but not all screens are of the same size. So sometimes you want the interface to be smaller, sometimes larger, and this is the setting where you can do both. You can either make it smaller or larger, whatever your preference is. So
yeah.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
Let's see.
Your back one for mastering. After the process, do you need to use
the limiters separately? Well, I guess that's a perfect question for you, actually.
If by limiter you mean the Better Maker limiter in the other tab that we use, then yes, that's the only way, because for now we have only fixed products available. But if you use the FET limiter that's included in the Rec 1, you will probably still need a little bit of true peak limiter. So an oversampling software limiter inside your DAW. But most probably to get to a decent loudness, you will not have to limit with the software limiter too much. Just shave off the last half a dB or less dB in the oversampled mode, so you're safe with codecs and reproduction on funny little gadgets.
Also, with the average loudness now going down to sensible levels, you can get away with the MOSFET limiter, which is the part of the Rec 1, I think, quite easily for quite a few genres.
Yeah.
So if you're targeting an online stream like Spotify, then I think you can pull that off easily with just the Rec 1.
Yeah, I would say that the minus 14 lufs, that's, let's say, ballpark value for most of the streaming platforms at the moment. I'd say that you would not need very severe limiting with
no, I don't think so. Yeah.
all kinds of combined devices. But yeah, if for some genres, at least I still actually want to go to the limit of limiting.
Yeah, but that's for the sound, right?
Yeah, because some genres just don't sound right if they're not squashed to oblivion. So
yeah, you can make bro step without distortion from the limiter.
Yeah,
that just doesn't sound right. But you had another genre in mind, but I just want to tease you.
Yeah,
bro step.
Sure. But yeah, if you're really, I would say, if you're into loudness and want to squeeze those last few dB from your track, I would really recommend using the Better Maker limiter.
Oh yeah.
Because it's just a whole other game compared to most of the software limiters that I've heard, and yeah, you really should check this out.
Yep.
Okay, so to continue with the demonstration, yeah, this is your waveform where you can press to play.
Hopefully.
So seeking would probably. So what's going on today with our service?
Doesn't like you. Let's try again. No, still working.
Yeah.
Could be because you had those settings on the sound card. So
yeah.
How's that?
Could be.
Maybe just refresh and let's see what happens. Let's first try that. So if it doesn't work, first refresh, and then let's see if there's anything else to do. Ah, okay. A glitch in the matrix.
Yeah.
So it's still very much beta quality sometimes, unfortunately. So we're well aware of that and working on it quite a lot. So we have a new kind of, let's say, organization of software in mind for the next month or so, where we really want to concentrate on the stability a lot. So hopefully this will all be a thing of the past and it will work every time. Hopefully. Yeah. Right now we're at 2 point something. Yep.
And the Mix Analog Studio 3 point something is already in development, and the complete backbone of the system is being rewritten.
Yep.
So yeah, we're hoping to get rid of such glitches for good.
All right.
So yeah, as said, seeking on the waveform should probably work now.
Yep.
Thank God it does. And to just another word about the I/O unit and the meters. This output level is digital gain before going out from the D2.8 converter.
Yep.
And so be careful with this one. If you drive this one into clipping, it's gonna sound really nasty. So be careful with this one.
Because it's digital clipping, so it just obliterates the signal. So just don't do that.
Yeah.
That's it. It will definitely let you know if you do that.
You'll hear it.
Yeah.
And the another one, it's called input level, is actually the input to the file that's going to be written. So this is post AD, so the signal comes back from
also digital.
And it's also digital. So the signal comes back from your compressor, goes into the AD, and after that you can either adjust for a little bit more gain if you were going safe with the AD, or lower the volume just a little bit if you are pushing your volume into the AD converter, because the Burl mothership converters that we're using,
Yeah, they can take a beating.
are actually clip pretty sweet. So you might want to try that out at some point. And if you clip the AD on the way in, you can lower the volume a little bit so you don't have digital over in your DAW.
Yeah, and I like to call this one actually monitor gain. So for listening, so if you want to listen, so this will influence both the level that goes to the file when you download, but also the level that you listen to while you are tweaking. So if you just want it a bit less loud, just dial that down.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is also digital, so this one also clips. But yeah, you can clip the AD quite a lot if you like, though. So with the unit that's between the DA and AD, so in this case the VCA comp.
Just make it bigger again.
Yeah, make it bigger again.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, another question. Cool. What sound level do you recommend exporting this before the mastering process? I would recommend going for, I don't know, maybe -6 peak.
Right.
I would say -6 peak would be a ballpark level for a average mix.
I'd say just for the tape, if you're maybe it's a bit special. Like if you're targeting the tape and you want a lot of saturation and a lot of stuff happening from the tape, then I think you can go even hotter.
Yeah, you can always make up if you find out that your level from the file is too low.
Yep.
To hit something really hard, you can always use this button up here to give it additional 2 or 3 dB.
Mm-hmm.
So you will not be exporting from your DAW at levels too low, but you're gonna still you can still make it up for those couple of dB of fine tuning with the output level knob here.
Cool.
And those were both levels were both questions were about the levels.
Mm-hmm.
And just to maybe elaborate a little bit more about the tape.
Yep.
Maybe, at least to let's say my experience, I would say that probably the best way to go would be first into some kind of a stereo bus compressor, so you get your RMS level just a little bit higher, and then go into tape, so you will get better signal to noise ratio from the beginning, and then it's up to your tastes. If you want the tape saturation sound to be a little bit more obvious, you can use the analog volume unit that's in front of the tape to drive it a bit hotter. But I would say with pretty normal settings, without going too hot, you would still get a good 60 dB of signal to noise ratio, probably a bit more for the peaks.
Oh yeah.
Because this Telefunken is it used to be a mastering grade device when it came out, so it's really
in the 70s it was the best you could get, I believe. So yeah, we do have another question about the VCA, is if it is a specific SSL clone. So it's SSL clone that we made. It's more or less our design. So we followed the SSL schematic, but we actually did quite a few of SSL type compressors for our own use. I used to run a studio, Ziga still runs a studio, and we found out that they can be modded in so many interesting ways. So when we sat together to design the VCA, we had a lot of ideas what to do, and we picked quite a few mods. So to load this baby up with. So we've added more attack times, more release times, more ratios, and a sidechain filter. So you've got high pass filters and tilt filters, but also one of my favorite additions.
Yeah, this one is somewhat special.
Exactly.
I haven't seen this mod
No,
done on
this one is
any
definitely
others.
unique. This
Yeah.
has been, I think we are the only like company that has a real dual mono SSL type compressor. I don't think that
Yeah,
there are any other ones. So what
as
we
far
did,
as I know.
yeah, what we did was we duplicated the side chain. So it's so there are two actually side chains, one for the left and one for the right channel, and they can be linked not only on and off, but it can actually be linked variably. So you can have just a bit of the left channel poking into the right channel and back. So this doesn't sound that much exciting until you add mid-side processing to the mix, which we're not doing yet, but everything is ready for that very nice moment when you guys will be able to master in mid-side with this VCA compressor, and then you'd be able to dial in a different attack release time if you want it for the mid or the side, and of course different thresholds. But maybe what's even more important, the mid channel would influence the side channel just a little.
Yeah.
Not all the way. So there would still be, influence, but a small influence. So dialing that in, that's something magical. You guys will have that as soon as we can.
I cannot wait to try this out because
on Mixanalog. We've tried it out on the machine when we designed it, but Mixanalog is still missing a few mid-side features before we can.
Yeah, the circuits are actually already designed and finished, but they're being,
as always,
they're being put into cases and tested right now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. When we do finish the testing of the mid-side, I think it shouldn't be too long, maybe a month or so, and we can finally give you guys the full experience of this VCA as we envisioned it. So as a real, mastering toolbox with the SSL sound, and it's got gold cans inside. So
yeah,
it's a really unique beast.
It's not your typical run-of-the-mill clone.
Nope.
It's
no, it's all I'd say balls to the wall, but
yeah, we're lucky enough that for this system we don't have to make like 100 units.
Exactly.
For now, so we can go all out for a single or 2 or 3 units.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to source really hard to get parts for 3 units than it would be for 1,000 units. So we can.
Exactly. Yeah. So a lot of manufacturers can do that because whenever they are designing a unit, they have to think, okay, so I'll have to make 100 of these and they will have to be more or less the same. So if someone buys it 1 unit today and another one in 5 years, they should be stereo matched. And that's a huge challenge. But for us, because we only need to do 2 or 3, we can really go out on some exotic stuff like the tubes in the Pultex. I think I've changed at least 6 or 7 pairs of tubes before we settled on these tubes in particular. And the same goes for some other critical components like the filter capacitors in the Pultec. I could speak about this all day. Let's continue with the demo. So
yeah, okay.
Gear slut.
So the last feature of the app that is left is the left side meters. Those are your monitoring meters.
Exactly.
So those meters are measuring the final result after everything. And the middle ones are peak meters, and the outer ones are RMS meters. So they have a 300 millisecond averaging window.
True.
Which is pretty similar to your momentary LUFS, because a lot of people are asking if we're going to implement loudness metering. We are thinking about it. We'll do it sooner or later.
To extend your session because we're only and we can't because someone already took it.
Someone booked it. So
good for you.
Good luck. Good luck. So use the side RMS meters to get your ballpark LUFS values.
Yeah.
If you are targeting a specific loudness, because most of the time you're going to be really, really close with the RMS meters to your momentary LUFS.
And
And we're
Here we-
back.
And we're back. Well, no biggie, because
Yeah, I
there's
think we've
there are quite
gone
a few
through.
videos on our channel already on how to get the most out of the VCA compressor. So you can have a look at that, and we can talk about your questions. So, guys, any questions you have, you can ask the team whatever you like, and we'll try to answer the best we can.
Yeah, I think we are, let's say, a minute or a little under a little under a minute of streaming latency, so we might have to wait for some questions.
Right. Oh well, that's fine.
And if there's no new ones, oh, okay, here we go.
The thrust, the tilt mode on the VCA, I believe.
Yeah, probably. From my experience, those tilt modes are a bit special. They don't fit material very often. Most of the time, it's either on very bass heavy material,
Yeah.
or on very sibilant or, let's say, very bright material, because they augment the high end of the spectrum, so the compressor will react more to high frequency information and compress it a bit more. So yeah, if your mix is sonically well done,
Yeah.
so if the spectrum is very well evened out, you will probably not need the tilt filters.
High pass filters, however.
Yeah, the high pass. If let's say if you just have a problem in the low end, the high pass filters might help. If you don't want to damage the high end of your mix, but for most of the time, I like my compressor in no sidechain filter mode.
Yeah, just off. Off is fine.
Because
It sounds great.
Yeah, but another cool feature about it is that I've learned that if my mixes sound good without sidechain filters, they're probably well balanced.
Right. So you use it as a check.
Yeah, it's my mix checking tool.
Wow. I didn't know we could do that, but great.
Yeah. But that's my personal way of doing mixing, because I know I'm pretty sure that a lot of guys out there have their own personal methods and can make the compressor sound great with tilt filters, but to each his own.
Right. Yeah, it's a tool like any other. So if it's useful, go for it. If not, then just leave it as it is. But it's always good to hear opinions from other engineers on what works for them. Maybe get some ideas in. Myself, I've used the tilt filter sometimes on like dance tracks, stuff like that, where you want like a specific effect. It can be very interesting. So, but as a sound, it's not a tool where you, for saving dynamics, for example. For me, it's more like, how can I sculpt even more bass into the mix somehow?
I agree.
Let me just check. Oh, no. Okay. That one's not relevant. Okay. So since there are no new questions from the audience yet, I'm going to ask you a question.
All right.
And that question will be, have we done anything since the last webinar that's new?
Of course.
We did.
Of course we did. So there is one very important novelty, and that's the fair use policy.
Right.
And this is, in the biggest part, the consequence of, unfortunately, just a few of people that were really behaving badly.
Naughty.
So yeah, we've had some cases when people actually booked half a day of all the free gear for themselves.
And never used it. So, you know, if they at least used it, then I would be okay. I mean, at least you've used it. but just reserving it and so that nobody else can use it, that's not nice.
Yeah.
So we've accepted a kind of a rule that a sum of a sum of free gear that you can use per day is 30 minutes. If you want more, then there's a small fee to pay, and that has been very effective. It seems once we ironed out the bugs in a few days, we saw like a very nice spread where a lot of people who wanted to try free gear could like do it immediately because there were slots open. So that's great. I'm sorry if anyone, if anyone's not getting enough free minutes. If so, just write me in the chat and we'll talk about it. Because the 30 minutes is just, a ballpark. We selected that based on data of use, and it seemed okay. So if you have some issue with that, just let me know, and I'm gladly gonna hear you out.
Yeah, and even if you run out of those free half an hour a day, the how do you call that, fee or
the fee,
the rate for the free units after your half an hour is actually pretty low.
Yeah, it's intentionally low so that if you're in a hurry and you just need this particular 1176 for 2 hours or whatever to process really lots of stuff, then you go ahead and it's not going to be expensive.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we are definitely planning on still letting you use some gear for free in the future, because we think it's the best way to get you accustomed, to get you familiar with the system. Because if you're under time and financial pressure when you're trying something new out, so you don't even know if our service is actually of any value to you.
Yeah.
Imposing such limits would be just counterproductive.
Yeah.
So there will always be a way to try new stuff out for free, but it's meant to be for trying out, not for processing whole swaths of your files.
Except for the 1176. We intend to keep that one free forever, and we've had some ideas about more gear that would be free forever. We're not going to say which yet, but you can also expect each new release to be free for like at least 2 weeks. So one of it is for us to filter out the bugs, but another one is of course for you guys to get acquainted with it and see what it can do for you, and then you can know with much more confidence if that's what you want and what kind of material you want to bring to it.
Okay, so that's about the fair use.
Yeah, and there was another thing.
Yeah, there's another thing, and this actually I think can be quite a big one. And that's the coming of subscriptions.
Right.
So after talking to quite a lot of you via chat or Facebook or email or all the different channels that you can use to ask us questions, we found out that quite a lot of people are getting used to subscriptions these days, because a lot of recording software software manufacturers are offering subscriptions. So why don't we offer a subscription?
Yeah, so a lot of you guys have raised it. How can we get a subscription going? Could it make purchasing MAT, so the mix analog tokens, even more affordable? And we've run some numbers and we found out that we can. So we'll be announcing it, I believe, on Saturday. There will actually be numbers that you can look at, and you can comment then if that's something that you could get behind, and then we'll just start with that.
Yep.
So that's also one of the, it's a big change for us, because we never had subscriptions for over a year now that we've been offering Mix Analog. We've always been a pay-as-you-go, and this is not going away. So if you just purchase the tokens every now and then because you work on something every 3 or 4 months or something like that, and you need the gear then that's fine. That will not go away. So we're not going to lock you guys out with subscription only. So it's just another way to get tokens and some perks.
Actually, I would say that just checking your average usage for a month or 2 months, maybe 3 months. If you find out that you make at least 2 minimum purchases of your tokens per month, then you're already eligible, or let's say it makes more sense for you to get probably the smallest packet of subscription.
The smallest one is going to be, I think, the industry standard.
Yeah.
What is it, $14.99 or something like
probably.
that? So you'll be able to get a really low one, I guess.
Yeah.
So that will be the entry one, and then there will be some of them that will be twice more and twice more. So that's the plan, at least.
Yeah, that's the plan for now.
Yeah.
We're gonna double check it until the end of the week.
True.
One thing that's maybe under the hood of everything, and that we didn't mention it, is that we have to change the payment system that we're running right now.
Yeah.
To make
paddle. Yeah.
to make the subscriptions possible at all. And we're also in the middle of that right now, and I think we're close to releasing the new payment system.
So the idea is that next week sometime early next week, I hope, you guys will have a new checkout experience, and this checkout experience will allow you to use a credit card or a wire transfer or PayPal. So if you don't like PayPal, you'll be able to use wire transfer or directly use a credit card. And that goes for subscriptions too, but subscriptions will be coming a bit later, so probably a week later or something like that. So that's the plan with subscriptions and payments. Do we realize that we're making a revolution? Well, we're hoping that what you guys are getting with Mix Analog is something new and exciting. We have both been on the other side of the glass, right? On both sides of the glass, actually.
Yeah.
So we've been where you guys are, and made gear, purchased gear, lusted after gear, read all about the gear, and used a whole bunch of it. And we thought it's missing something. So this whole ecosystem could be better, and this is our contribution to it. So if it holds, if you guys are going to get value out of it, it will be around, and maybe it will even qualify for a small revolution. Not sure.
Yeah.
But hopefully.
I surely do hope so.
Yeah,
but,
definitely.
I
We'd
think
like to do this for a long time. So
we have a long road ahead, I think.
Hopefully.
But yeah, step by step.
So we're cautiously optimistic about that. There's another thing we did or are doing, which is the changes to the bounce queue.
Yeah.
The bounce queue is back. So we've made it now possible that you can. So it's been in the software some time ago. Then we deleted it. We put it out of its misery because it wasn't made well. And now we've done it again, but hopefully in a much more friendlier fashion, where you can queue up your bounces. So it could be the same file with different settings, or it could be different files with different settings, whatever you want. And those settings and the file that's that will be bounced at the end of your session. So still within your session time, but at the end of the session, which means that, for example, if you have 3 files and you'd like to do some processing on them, you're not interrupted in between when you are
in the flow.
When you're in the flow. So you're doing, I don't know, one vocal, and you've nailed the settings, and you want to move to the next one. So that's the use case. I think the best one is you just want to start on the next one, and you don't want to deal with the bouncing process, which is going to take 3 or 4 minutes. You just want to do that at the end. So you do the second file, you do the third file, you've done all of them, they're all sounding great, and now you just want to wait for, let's say, 3 times 4 minutes for it to bounce, and you get your files. And now you've got a separate queue button at where the bounce button is. So if you open the bounce dialog, you can select add to queue, and that will add it to a queue. And then when you're ready, you can open the queue button, and then there will be a window where you can execute all of the queue in one go.
And don't be afraid if you don't see this queue button at first, because it only appears when you enqueue your first file. So if you're just bouncing when you're done, the queue file, the queue button will not appear at all. But if you start adding to your render queue, another white button with red text will appear right next to the bounce button.
Yes, called the queue button.
Yeah.
Could you name the bounce with the settings used? The problem with that is, from our perspective, let's say that you're using the Rec 1, just the mastering EQ has, I believe, about 50 parameters. It's about there. So it would be a bit hard, but if you named it, so if you saved the setting, then that's not a bad idea to append, instead of Rec 1, to say, I don't know, mix 34, take 16 or whatever. I don't know. So whatever you saved it at, high-end sparkle with teeming bass.
Fat bass.
Sorry, it's I like to make fun.
Yeah.
So we could do that. It's actually not that hard.
Mm-hmm.
We could do that. You can write it on your own if you like. So when you are bouncing, before you add it to the queue, or if you are bouncing immediately, you can edit the name of the bounce before you click it. So it'll be more obvious when you come back to that file later. Yeah,
and to take a step further from that, even if your session time runs out, all your bounces that are complete are in the Files tab at the home screen where the booking calendar is. If you've just done the bounces and didn't have time because your session timed out at the last second, your bounces are safe and you can find them at the Files tab in your home screen.
Right.
Didn't I miss? Well, I thought of another thing that we could talk about, and that is the next week there will probably not be a live webinar because
it could be, but just with one of us, I guess. So either you or me.
Okay, I'm out of the picture because I'm on the way.
So maybe you'll just have to see my sorry face somehow. We'll have to figure it out, but.
And the week after that, we are going to Frankfurt Musikmesse. So if any one of you are in the vicinity or are coming to Germany, to Frankfurt on the great fair, let us know on Facebook or maybe in the chat window.
In the chat window is fine,
yeah. In our app, and we can go grab a sausage or beer or
both.
Yeah.
I'm in for both.
That's what I had in mind for today.
Right. So we'll wait, I guess, a minute or so.
Yeah.
Awkward silence to wait if there are any more questions. And then we can go on our merry way and make Mix Analog even better.
Yep. There's work to do, always. By the way, another announcement. A Fairchild tutorial video is coming out tomorrow. When we are finished with this stream, I'm back to doing some video editing. Can you imagine the audio guy doing video editing?
Oh, poor you.
Yeah, poor me. Tomorrow you'll get a blog post for those of you that don't like to watch YouTube videos, and a YouTube video, the tutorial for the Fairchild limiters. So every knob, every control is explained, and you get some nice smooth jazz music to listen to. How this thing works.
Yeah, the sample sounds amazing. And I think this time around we also have some examples of gear versus plugins, right?
Yeah, it was not completely intentional. I didn't want to do a shootout
Per se, right?
per se, but yeah, I am a lot of times using a, let's say, placeholder compressor or EQ plugin inside my DAW. So I just have a rough idea what the hardware can do or should do. And then when I'm happy with the mix or with a, I don't know, a drum bus or whatever source I want to process, I'll bypass the plugins, do the export, process it in mix analog, and import it back into my session. And
Yep.
that's exactly what I'll be doing tomorrow in the tutorial video.
Yep. And you'll all be able to hear the results and the depth and the harmonic, niceness that comes out from that box. It's an amazing box. It's been a bitch to make, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it. And the Fairchild just sounds like.
Well, let's
so
say
good.
like nothing else.
Oh, I guess nothing else. Well, yeah, but in a good way.
Yeah.
So cool.
Okay.
Well,
I think that's it for today. Let's invite friends.
if you do invite friends, just drop me in the chat window. So the short answer is there's no automation for that anymore, because the software that we used for giving you mat automatically when you invited friends didn't work well. So we had a lot of headache with that, and then eventually we just said to the company that did the software that we are not interested anymore, because it was such a pain to use it. So instead of that, if you do bring some friends over, just let me know in the chat, and if I see that they've actually logged on, I'll give you some mat.
Yeah, we are still a pretty small startup company, so talking in the chat or sending us email will always get you to one of us that can actually do stuff for you. So no automated responses for support, or no weird people that don't know what to say. You're always getting one of us.
Yep.
So
true.
and we are open to talk about anything. So yeah, thanks for the questions today. I hope you learned something new.
Yeah, and this will actually stay online, so you can, if you joined late, you can watch from the beginning when it will be uploaded to YouTube. Last time it took, I think, almost a day for YouTube to get around and do it, so don't be alarmed if it doesn't appear immediately. Hopefully, next day it will be automatically online. And we'll also be posting the link to the Mix Analog community on Facebook, which you should join if you didn't already, and on the Mix Analog page.
Yep.
And that's it.
That's it. Thank you again.
Thank you so much for dropping by.
See you either on the next webinar with Bojan, or on Frankfurt, or
wherever
the road takes you. Okay. Cheers. Bye.
See you. Bye-bye.